That's supposed to be for emergency.
It's for the Remy, try to get your hands high. Little mama cussing high, we gon' kick it to the sun come up and do it right. No need to fight. So little dumper in the cross with these fools get the tripping. You ain't got far to
Turn that light
go.
off.
But you really know, pull a king of hoes out there at the party, the club, or the night show. You might know somebody anyway. It's been mainly in to take your ass home on the first day. So you can make it, get the talk, sit the candy. You can die for some but that was speaking like candy. A man needs, so I wanna sit it down, girl. Blast the to your neck. You in the wrong girl. Lady girl, I'm looking at your teeth, twice my age, but I can see she really full speed. Go person that feel like the way you smelling good. Jackson Gentleman, but I'm session way too many girls, so we the choose. I want them all, so they show me things on the top. They off the wall with them looking little take you. Open it, kind to the music, girl, listen to you. I play the field, get a number of the little fast. Hey, little mama, that gas, but you let me back. I'm not the bar, it's somebody orders me a drink. I turn around and get a wing, she's in a black me. The skirt's hair banging with a short body. She say, come home with me if you wanna party. And get naughty, do you really wanna party? To the ears and hurting them. Worst come to freeze, the whole plan is gone first. Do you really wanna party? Hell yes, get it cracking, count it, know the nine, she gon' feel like back. Do you really wanna party? To the ears and hurting them. Worst come to freeze, the whole plan is gone first. Do you really wanna party? Hell yes, get it cracking, count it, know the nine, she gon' feel like back. Still party in the next night, was on the boat. We ran loaded it for 4 days full of smoke. Into the coast, 600 made it just in time. Before we set out the sea, we under the behind. Nothing but time, see the homie like to keep it big. It's everybody from the streets and no freaking gigs. The whole gig with the apple in his mouth next. The 40,000 with the lots of tails and every day. And you can check it, the cats are even blowing fun. And trying to put this on the map where they come from mud. It's foolish, but the party's getting pumped up. The ladies screaming like a Leon, niggas watching the boat. They got a photo riders going down to the ship. Don't even care about that phone if you on your hip. Yeah, it's a strip club right behind the lounging bar. This one is cracking, it's some niggas shit from every car. No other talking cause they like it having too much fun. By the time we get up in the morning, shit is sitting, son. They number one finally open in this tape ball. We even try to show, jumping in this fight, y'all. You might fall overboard if we won't live for days. Cause our pictures over Cardi in this triple haze. Don't be amazed if you see somebody getting head. Riding off for ecstasy, that's what I ain't drinking smoking and I'm paying straight. Nobody's choosing on a boozy and a fast date. It's 3 states, then we back at home, unloaded. These bitches coming out they clothes, really trying to party. And get naughty, do you really wanna party? To the ears and hurting them. Worst come to freeze, the whole plan is gone first. Do you really wanna party? Hell yes, get it cracking, count it, know the nine, she gon' feel like back. Do you really wanna party? To the ears and hurting them. Worst come to freeze, the whole plan is gone first. Do you really wanna party? Hell yes, get it cracking, count it, know the nine, she gon' feel like back. Hell yes, get it cracking, count it, know the nine, she gon' feel like back. Hell yes, get it cracking, count it, know the nine, she gon' feel like back. And we still cavemen, invented technology, ecology, broken in half, meteorology, predicted something about to come soon. Millions will die over the right to worship the sun and the moon. Tribalism is got us in the state that we in. Down the bottom of the cloud, while you get the smile, I swear from my brow to the out to return to the church. And that's the way they say it goes on this planet called Earth. Wherever you're serving, shuffle around, hunting and gathering things that you need and don't need, and then scattering the rest on the gas and the various.
Okay, we are live, and this is Smith Vision Podcast. I'm really excited about today's episode because Who isn't? Who doesn't want to know who wrote the Gospels? I mean, there are so many debates going on. And the guest I have today is Dr. Robin Faith Walsh. Welcome to Myth Vision.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
It is always a pleasure to interview you. You are just a very interesting scholar. I may introduce you just briefly. I won't give the whole Bible of your background, but to give people a taste, simply professor at the University of Miami, PhD at Brown University in religion and education, with a focus on early Christianity, ancient Judaism, and Roman archaeology. So there's a lot more here, of course, that you actually have. I just don't want to waste too much time because honestly, I have only so much time with you, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of questions and such. So if you can get the intro started, uh,
What's up?
Yep. Finish this mission on one of the shit.
Wow.
The one where you gotta come in here and get the little machine, and then you gotta bring an ion, some shit.
Oh, the ion water?
Yeah.
You gotta go. I usually find that at the assembly bit. The assembly workshop.
Assembly, that's where I'm heading right now. Yep, you safe.
Sure.
Well, it's different from the last.
I almost want to tease you again.
I noticed I was under good aim.
No, even better. The four horsemen.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a horse.
You are a horseman. And you're in the other.
Okay, so I've now reached the full. That's it. That's the top.
You can retire me.
No. Yeah. You're putting yourself in that.
I almost want to play it just to show you that one part. Let's do it one more time. Real quick.
I'm so excited. Can you please send me a...
I will actually send you a.
Yep, you good. Oh, I need to go up there. I'm tripping. Coming up.
they,
My
you know,
mi-
this kind of
coming
price,
up.
I
My
think,
mission said I gotta come up
more
here.
in
So
publishing design library today, where they have, and so that's you know, enough books sell for that thing. It's an academic
sputter.
So
Whatever
my
that shit
recommendation
is.
for those who don't have the income to afford it, I think go to your local library. Recommend it. They this book was fabulous. Somebody last time uploaded 3,000 reviews. I mean, everything you thought you would completely different than what we have. And then, of course, I notify my patrons when I'm live coming up. I try to let them know right now. I'm trying to do that always that way. Sometimes it's spontaneous. But I do a lot of work on here. If you consider wanting to help me, you can do $1 or $3 to get into it. No damnation. You will not end up in Gehenna. This is it's indulgence. You won't go to hell. So please consider helping support us. Seriously. The first question is a big question, and that is
Okay, yellow.
well, there's the traditional line on this, which I think most people are familiar with, and it tends to take two tracks. One is this idea that and you have the things that are also found in the gospel, that these must be the testimonies of the people who were actually around Jesus during his lifetime and witnessed all of the events chronicled themselves. What we do know, and this is less controversial, I think these days, especially within scholarship, is that these
How in our
texts are initially
states?
anonymous, insofar as whether they were written intentionally to be anonymous or whether Jesus lost the attribution at some point.
Too bad with me. Too bad with me with the state.
Names were put
I'll have to move on to different important thing.
mostly in some running around.
Out with me. Let's go. Aww.
I found it.
So I want to do battle with state?
So eventually the names were put on them.
Or challenge your approaches?
Using names that they found in the text itself.
This is the first time in months when we could have actually been friends.
Common practice
No.
in antiquity. That happens all the time. So that wasn't a really unique thing that happened for the So in that case, when there's an awareness that they're anonymous,
I'm free. Don't worry. I'm free. I'm just trying to get out.
sometimes people, Richard
The
Foster,
battle tonight.
for example, that maybe this still is the eyewitness testimony of the individual in question.
Oh, I gotta do the
But
thing. I
just
see.
written down much later. So maybe it's been transferred until someone
I see.
has literal skill to write it down.
Push the button. You get
So
the
that's
move
basically
faster.
the TryHard mentioned that actually and we can get into that a little bit more in the conversation if you like, but the problem is not so much oral tradition theory in and of itself. I don't have a huge problem with oral tradition theory. I think it's not when something is a song or a verse, it's easier to say like, okay, you know, this might have been transported oral memory, right? But when something is a verse and also takes the gospel so you know these can't be the exact words, you know that there's some after translation and some transmission from the idea that these are the exact words of Jesus, coupled with the fact that a lot of the events in the gospel were in other kinds of Greco-Roman literature. And we know genre was very different, writing practices were very different in the ancient world. Most likely, and I actually think historically, the people who wrote the Gospels were more elite than we imagine. These were not the illiterate fishermen who followed Jesus around. These were, you know, literacy low in the ancient world. These were probably people who had much more education. We might consider a higher rung of society, although people who were enslaved could also be literate. So when I say elite, I don't mean they had a lot of money necessarily. They might have, but I mean people who had the means and ability for whatever reason, despite the understanding, to go to school long enough to learn someone was more elite and educated in Greco-Roman literature broadly, and where genre, they would have done exactly what I think we find in Gospels, which is kind of fill in the book with tropes and sayings and events and other points of interest that were known to so stories like I mentioned the last time I was here, the widower of Ephesus story that you find in Tyricon, which is about 3 crucified men and a Roman soldier guarding the tomb, and then after 3 days and 3 nights, he realized the body was fallen off the cross, that there was an empty tomb, like all of those themes, even the theme of the empty tomb, are things that we indicate that we really right? But this is not something we've only found in the Gospels. So I argue that the Gospel writers are more elite. So I say elite, literate, cultural producers, to use fancy terminology. But they were just more elite than we imagined. They probably knew some stories, maybe knew some Christians, but mostly when they wrote this story, they were filling in the blanks with the data that they saw out there through their education.
There's so many issues you bring up, and the last presentation, your players. I do have a question. So we have some super chats. This is new to you. You've never done live. So no pressure. If you get it wrong, totally have it out, right? No pressure. We have some super chats. I have a question right now for my friend Sheffield, who's making me another intro. Yeah, so my buddy Jonathan Sheffield, in the vein of what you said, asked a question. If the disciples of Jesus are not the authors of the gospel, but these documents were examined by well-educated Greeks outside of Palestine, please explain why well-educated Greeks would write in Koine, smattering of Aramaic, instead of Arabic or Alexandrian Greek?
That's a really, really good question. It's one that puzzles scholars a lot. I'm working on a book right now that actually gets at that exact question. So the person asking this question should be in the field. I think if I could say for myself, I think it's a great question. There is a rising class of literature that right now I tend to think is actually a little bit in response to the fact that the empire is established.
Go eat, y'all.
And people you can't put it in the middle class. In what I might call an aspirational class. These would be people who aren't part of the native aristocracy. They're not Roman senators, they're not touching the earth like the title of the and not a big estate like established for themselves. But maybe there's like a person in Austria who they're doing well in like the fish paste trade or something like that. And so they want to engage in the kind of activities that they see as representative of these more economically elite, the things like literate practices, but there's a ceiling there because a Roman senator is not going to hobnob with somebody who's an uneducated but wealthy merchant necessarily. So that person might say send their son to school to become educated, and that person may reach a certain level of helping get ancient information. Or they might want to say, we can produce our own literature. We don't need to do this high-class sizing style that's representative of the church. Don't let us, traverse that kind of social gap. And so what we see in the 1st and 2nd century, there's a scholar named David Constant, who's a classicist, who's written about this, and he calls it the active reader. And so he says that there's an active reader, particularly in the 2nd century, and we know that this is represented because things like the ancient Greek novels are starting to be written in a very similar way. So you do have this presentation of different kinds of literature, and maybe books and stuff like that you didn't quite see before. But there's clearly a class of people who are, you might not be literate, not all of them are highly literate, they're interested in engaging in these things, producing literature, but either by means they can't quite get to the level of a Virgil or something like but they can't write Homeric Greek, but they can put their hand to something that's more familiar, something like writing, and it's going to travel a lot easier around the ancient world. Which is why I think someone like Paul, that's right? I know he's not really I think that you have a little bit of evidence there of what I would call inspiration. And so for various reasons, they're embracing that kind of, you might call it dialect, and great to communicate stories that are not part of a truly elite class of understanding.
Now we're going to get into the super chat. These are the questions from the common folk. These are not quite the Virgils, but some of them might sound like the Virgils, and then some of them might
Steel spring.
below that. Very rarely do we find fishermen who are commenting. So just so you're aware, you might see a different level of question caliber, if you will. And I ask that anyone who is sitting in the question or a super chat be respectful. I won't tolerate anything rude or anything like that. Just a heads up. Dr. Romanov, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Could it be that most avoided theoretical text, status, and security is clear, good, short, and focused, easily transmitted orally to diverse groups in the next minute writing?
So that yes, sure. I think that that's definitely one possibility, and I have to say I just want to be careful in anything that I propose here. It's just really just a theory that is an educated theory, but one that I'm often sort of touching out myself as we just think about the fields because so many of us have different theses about what's going on, and I think that that's quite possible. The thing with Mark, though. One is that I think we've lost a little bit, and maybe this is clearer when you translate it from Greek, but maybe this particular person knows Greek. There's a lot of, I would almost call it, I think I might have even said this to you before, Twilight Zone aspects to the Gospel of Mark. Because if you notice, I think even in the English, it's always like he's here, and then he's here, and he's here. And
Head home with the sandbox hatch.
in Greek, in the text, and immediately.
He likes that, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that on one hand you could say like, yeah, sure, oral tradition, these are markers, the and immediately. I actually read it more like, again, like Twilight Zone music. Nobody knows who he is. Right? So it's very mysterious. And even the original ending of the gospel was, and then people were afraid and they ran away the next day. So the whole thing is kind of cloaked in mystery in a way that makes me feel like that's not a really great foundational story for the explanation of how Christianity is that like nobody knows who he is and nobody wants to talk about it and everybody's scared and it's not the best like for
Just so you know, writing a book is using a development. It's going to be in Art Emerald's blog. I'm excited about it because I don't ever write. I took some time on this and pretty much saying like everyone should be doubting Thomas is the whole goal to get like Christians who are confident, like lower your confidence level based on the Bible. I don't have to go outside of it and like showing you like they didn't even know who he was anymore. And I kind of took this guess. I mean, this is really a speculative, I think, scholarly position to think about is that Mark doesn't have the 12 ever get an appearance. What does it take to be an apostle and appearance? And I wonder if this is a jab or like a Pauline side saying, whoever they were doesn't matter to me, I know I'm an apostle. And he's attacking other people. And I wonder if the non-appearance is kind of a way of Mark saying, hey, get it. Don't worry, Paul did. Or something like that.
so that's going to be my second point is I do think whoever wrote Mark has written some letters to Paul because another thing that was the law and that's the text is that you read your stories like
An arc orbiter is en route. The safe window is closing. You have 10 minutes to return to Speranza. I repeat, 10 minutes.
Sure. But if you actually like look in Greek and look at the terms being used, Paul uses. There's technical philosophical, often Greco-Roman philosophy terms, trying to explain psychology, trying to explain physics, like what we would call kind of the physical idea of how the world works. And so I don't think the way that the spirit in the text, the word in Greek, is pronounced on the so the word in Greek is one that has all kinds of meaning that is like the best science of its day, essentially. And so I don't think we can read more without what about the
Friendly, friendly, friendly,
And they're a lot more friendly than the others. My
friendly.
rank set is block, like electronic contact, and then your rank set sticks at the psychic. Then and that's much different than right now, like that that is coming in and saying, call for help, not the people who are surrounding you. And of course, someone else is trying to find he argues that when it's not maybe and so the more that we imagine ourselves as understanding their function as a origin story, and that's what they were collated to do in later centuries, right? They're put together with a electric call, with a nice little package that tells the story. But it might not have been written for that purpose, it's just being used for that purpose. So we shouldn't confuse that with the historical impetus for its writing or who wrote it, right? So it's two different questions. You can be interested in the origins of Christianity and use these texts as a touch point to talk about that. Or I think you can be interested in the historical circumstances that gave rise to these texts. And because there isn't a strict Christianity in the way that we imagine it now, the time these are being written to the best of our knowledge, that's a very different question.
Thank you. We have so many other subtracts that we like hope that we can miraculously get through them. And immediately another subtract. And immediately another subtract. So here we go. Is it Elias? I apologize if I'm butchering the name. Apologists say the Gospels contain place in people's names that are contemporary to Jesus. Therefore, we can trust their reliability. Comments?
Actually, I have a different view of this, which is I wish someone would write more about it. And it's something like in my, list that I keep in my head, like a folder somewhere, like topics I want to look at someday. There have been arguments that, how like Theophilus, writing his early career.
Come on in.
That some of the name dropping in the Gospels are actually people paying for or the patron.
I'd be a lot more into Stug.
The person who's writing it. So you might kind of drop it in
Here to buy?
like give a cameo to the writing work. And so that the contemporary trend is awesome, not now.
Fun toy that. Good for traversal too.
The other thing is like, yeah, sure, there might have been some knowledge of people who were around Jesus, and if you want to give, authority, credibility to your account, you might drop those things in. The problem is that we got some time. Anybody who's reading these in the late first century, second century, there's no longer, I think, a strong touch.
Pretty much, kind of like what my buddy Neil, we'll get to chat, I saw he dropped one as well, where the Gospel of Mary makes Mary the one. In fact, it almost indicates she's the only one who received the vision. No one else did. But it's like she's jabbing at Peter, which would technically be jabbing at anyone who says Peter's their guy. So now you have these struggles for authority that are just trying to root back and say, that was Peter's scribe. And that's evidence that it's this. And it's like, I personally, like, if I see this internal evidence that I see this problem pointing out, and I'll get to the next one here in just a moment, jab at the 12. And Peter's scribe is writing this. It makes no sense.
Quit running around playing.
That's not how brilliant that is.
Go brush your, go wash your hands.
If you're trying to
touch that controller.
over fractures, because
And
you're
you better
trying to
have
establish
that
a cohesive
comment area together.
you need one, right? Like you can't.
I already told y'all, Ajania, did you even get up and go eat? Get your ass down there and go eat. And you're not playing it no more. I'm tired of you doing that shit. Then you'll sit up here and talk about you didn't get called. No, I don't want to hear that. No, I don't want to hear that. Because you'll be saying later on that you're hungry and that nobody called you. Go eat. They got Gilbert Arenas playing this shit. Get on. And get all them tablets in here. All y'all better have y'all tablets in here. I don't see them all.
Christianity. That's what
Now.
so, like, you know, like, eat. So if you're gonna repeat everything else Paul says,
No.
why are you talking that way off, right? So you're gonna relate that to. So I would say that's probably a big increment to the other thing is, that Christians today are saying the same thing. So I could ask the same question for the last 2,000